Hello. Where's my oh, yeah. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Samuel Murphy. This channel is about film, my love of film and cinema, and my journey into filmmaking. So welcome back here, and we'll see how this goes, okay? We'll see what happens. I was on here earlier. It went well. It was, but it was. It was an interesting stream. I'm grateful for it. But I'm here to do like a part two, if you want, if you want to call it that. Just before I retire for the night, and go to sleep. So I've come on here to do another stream. So here I am. Welcome. Bounty bar. Anyway, this channel is about all things film related, film production. Yeah. From an idea on paper to the final product. If you want, not that I use the word product a lot, but to the final result. To the moving picture. Yeah. I'll just continue what I was speaking about earlier. Hello, my name's Samuel Murphy. I was on here earlier doing a live stream. This channel is about filmmaking and my love of film and cinema and my journey into filmmaking. So Pete, that's a generous offer, but I'm gonna have to decline, unfortunately. But thank you anyway. It's very kind of you, but I'm gonna have to say no on this occasion. Hello, everyone. This channel is about filmmaking. Excuse me while I'm eating. Hello, everyone. Hello. 17 people in the house. Hello. 2 likes. Good. Great. Okay. Oh. Have you heard of a band called Steps? Yeah. But I'm not on here to talk. Sorry, I just want to say something. Your name's Emma. This channel is about filmmaking and all things film related. So I'm not going to be speaking about anything else really. So sorry. Hello everyone. My favorite film is Interstellar. Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. Hello, Matt. Is that you, Matt? From my other channels, yeah, Matty? You should be a moderator. Why aren't you a moderator on here? Unless you're on one of your other accounts. Unless you're on here on another account. So, uh, anyway, this channel is about filmmaking. So for people that have just found me and they can see me, um, hello and welcome. Okay, I might have to mute the microphone in a second because I might have to pause for a moment. But this channel is about anything to do related to film, but from an idea that starts on paper to the final result. Like, how come you're not a moderator on here? I've just made you a moderator. So. I thought I already made you a moderator. That's strange. Your favorite artist? Hard to say, really. It depends what you're talking about. I mean, if you're talking about film, well, I don't know. Like, there's a lot. I mean, obviously, if I'm going to pick one, my go-to, it's going to be Matthew McConaughey, because of Interstellar. Um, but there are other great actors that I really do appreciate. There's a lot. There's a lot of good. Has it made you a moderator yet, Matt? It's not showing up on here. Um, I was on this channel earlier. Oh yeah, it's made you it now. Yeah, I was on here earlier and I had a good stream. It was great, and I've decided to come back on again just as a second, like a follow up. I think earlier, what was I speaking about? I think I was speaking about um, directing actors, how to make them feel comfortable and and how to make them embody the energy of the character. They become the character. They're not pretending to be a character. They or think like the character. To think that, like, you don't direct an actor to think that they are a character. You make them feel the energy of being the character. Yeah, they become it. And I was just saying that I won't have a problem with doing that, because I know how to communicate with the right people that I want involved in whatever I'm going to be a part of anyway. Um, I think that's what I was discussing earlier. Cheers. Cheers. Oh yeah, Matt. I know I'll talk to you about it another time. Don't worry. I was going to say something. I was going to say something. I was going to say, Matt, have you seen that short that I put on my other channel, the short video that I've just stuck on. I did a live stream on my other channel. It was what it was. But I'm not going to mention any of the stuff that I do on that channel here. But I'm just saying, if you get time, check out the short that I uploaded on straight after that live stream that I did. There's a short video waiting for you, and it already reached 1,000 views. I just uploaded it, and it hit like 1,000 views or something. It's only been on there like for 20 minutes or something. Anyway, you'll find out what it is. How to stream. You need to get 50 subscribers in order to live stream. My favorite film is Top Gun. Yeah, I don't know what the fascination is with that film. I mean, I know it's a cultural film. It's had a bit of impact. I need to rewatch that. I'm not saying it's not a good film. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I need to. I never got into that. Like I need to watch it. I've not even seen the new one. I remember watching it, the original one, ages ago, years ago. But that that's not good because now I'm older. I'm a completely different person, so I'll appreciate it a lot more. I'll check it out again. Yeah. I will. I'm hot in here. Oh, so this channel is about filmmaking. Okay. I mean, yeah. What I was saying earlier to people that were there. I was discussing working with the right people. Like if you're making something important, like if you're genuinely want to tell stories, obviously you need to have the right story, but you need to don't just pick anyone. That's my point. Like even if it takes you a long time trying to find the right people to be in it, then so be it. But at least it will be the right people. And like I was saying on my previous stream about directing people, I'll know what to do when I'm ready now. But I'm just saying that I know how to like. I think a good director is someone who's a good. It's not just a good communicator, but it's someone who understands the emotional world of someone. You can understand, so you can communicate on a deeper level. You can communicate deeper because you can feel you can feel what you want quickly, and you can feel what's blocking them from giving you what you want. You can, so then you can get through to them for them to become the character and drop their ego, right? Their resistance or any sort of fear or doubt or whatever, or stage fright, whatever you want to call it. So they just naturally just ease into it and just become what you've actually originally hired them for, what you've got them to be. You know, they just relax into being the energy of the character, which is what hopefully you should be filming while they're doing that. That's what you're wanting, and you need to and only an actor will do that if they're comfortable with you. So I won't have a trouble. I won't have any problem making actors they'll feel comfortable around me. No problem. Um, I don't. It's not a problem to me. I want them to feel the energy of the character. Yeah, they have to become it. They shouldn't see that they shouldn't see like they shouldn't be feeling or anxious or feeling like there's a camera watching them and they're being directed, and they've got to for a moment they've got to suspend the belief and become the character. That's what you that's and if you can channel that, if you can, maybe that's not the right word, well, it's not a bad word, but maybe there's a better word, like a more simple word. If you can harness that from the actor or actresses or whoever you've got in front of you, without force but with faith, like, with patience and belief in the actor or actresses, you're going to be you're going to be a great filmmaker. Because at the end of the day, right, it doesn't matter how much budget you've got, like money budget. It doesn't matter what special effects you've got thrown on it. It doesn't matter, even the actors you put in it. There could be A-listers or people that no one's never heard of. The point stands that if you haven't got the performance or captured on film, by like if you don't feel the emotion to it as an audience member, if you don't believe in it, you know, that's a bad sign. You know, it's not about the budget. It's not about the. It's about the heart in all of it. You know, it's about feeling the character's journey. You know what I mean? Obviously, that's tied into the story. Obviously, you need the story. Obviously the story is like the main thing, but it's the when I say performance, it's like, I mean, someone can give a great performance, but that might not mean that you emotionally connect to it. You know, you've got to feel the reality of the character's journey. You have to feel that, and if you don't, you, well, I'm just saying that, I was gonna say that's the bad sign, but that's what you need. That's what you need to accomplish. That's what the point of it is. Because you got to see cinema as like an illusion. When you go into a cinema, like a theater, and the doors closed and the lights go off, you're for 2 hours of your life, on average, you could say an hour and a half to 2 hours or longer. It depends on what type of film it is. Just say average 2 hours. For them 2 hours of your life, if you're watching something which has got a good story to it, like there's heart to it. I'm not talking about some Fast and Furious type movie. Like, no offense to Vin Diesel, I think he's actually a good actor. He did actually do some great acting years ago, which people have forgotten about. Where he starred in like a court case drama movie. I think he was even in Saving Private Ryan, Steven Spielberg's World War II epic. The guy can act, but these Fast and Furious films, no offense, like I've got respect for him, but I don't like them films. I'm not interested. Actually, I like the first Fast and Furious film, the very first one. But that's just me. Anyway, I'll get off that topic now. That part of the. I've got nothing against Vin Diesel. I think he's great. He's got presence. He has got that. He's a great action star, but that's not the same as being a good actor. I want to see good actors. I mean, if they can do action star stuff, then great. I like to see a good actor, and he can act. He's done it. He has done things that I'm talking about. It's just most people have forgotten it. The average person in public, first two films were well produced and flopped. Yeah, the first two Fast and Furious films were good. You know, yeah. I mean, I still think the best one is the first one for me. But that's just me, right? But what was I talking about, Matt? What was I speaking about? before I mentioned Vin Diesel, like Fast and Furious. Oh yeah, 2 hours and right. So when you go into a theater, 2 hours of your life is being. You need to be there for 2 hours, right? Unless you walk out. If you can sit through, because what it is, the second you enter that room, all what your world, or like anything to do with your life at that moment, you need to. But I don't want to say put on hold, but the power of cinema is if you can go into hello Mel, how you doing? We'll talk shortly. I just want to finish my point. I'm doing very good, thank you. Um, the power of cinema is in my eyes is that what the job of a great filmmaker will do is to get the audience to buy into the illusion for 2 hours. If they can keep you gripped and locked in and focused and immersed in for 2 hours, you know you're watching something special. If you're constantly getting bored or watching or looking at your phone or checking your phone for the time, and that's a sign that your mind is drifting. It doesn't ultimately mean that the film's bad. It just means that you're not connecting to it enough. But on average, I'm just saying that for the average person, if everyone is glued to the screen and they're immersed, and basically, I'll just say it like this: if a director can keep an audience immersed for 2 hours, because it's an illusion. It's an illusion that you enter into, right? And then once you leave the theater, you leave the illusion, right? So it's like you're under the illusion for a couple of hours. If you can be successfully kept under that, when I say illusion, I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a good way. If you can stay under the power of cinema and be immersed in the experience for 2 hours, you know that you're watching something like you're watching something by a good filmmaker. If you're getting bored 5 minutes into the movie, then that's to me that's a sign that you're probably not watching something that's of any value. I mean, I've got respect for like any filmmaker who's trying to make something good. I mean, I think like I might not like what they've made, but the point is that I've got respect for most filmmakers. I think like that they're actually trying to do something. I don't think they'd purposefully make a bad film. Like a bad but so yeah, like so that is what the key. You can keep an audience glued to the screen, immersed. Um, you're watching something by a good filmmaker. You really are. You really are. This is what I was talking about earlier. So basically, I went on earlier and did a live stream, which I thought was good. There's some good information, and when I say this, it just flowed from me. Like and it was good earlier. It was great, and I promised I'd come back. Oh, I sneezed. FBI, this is a raid. Anything you say may be held in evidence. Right. Can I say one thing? Do you think I'm sexy? How you doing, Jesse? Oh no. Oh, Jesse. Sorry, I thought I said Jesse then. Isaac. There you go. Oh. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. Right, so what's up, Liam Gallagher? Yes. Rachel Furness? Hello, everyone. Walsh, hello. Mel, yeah. So, hello, everyone. This channel is about filmmaking. Adam earlier, Emma. Righty. Hello. Wow, there's 23 people in the house. Hello. So, hello, everyone. So what it is, I might as well introduce myself and just let everyone know what is going on here. So, my name is Sam. 32. I'm from the United Kingdom. Uh, this channel is about filmmaking. My love of film, and my journey into filmmaking. So this channel is like a platform for me to connect with people and talk about film and all things film related. Film related. It's not so much about, I just sit here for hours on end talking about favorite films that I love. I mean, yeah, that might come up every so often, but generally this channel is about film production. Like everything from an idea in your uh, the idea on paper to what and everything, like, to what you finally see. The final, I don't want to say product because that sounds a bit cheap, but you know what I mean, like the completed vision. Just use that word. um so 1 second here, I'm gonna have to put some people. Bye, Liam, as well. Tell your brother I said hello. I don't listen to, yeah, that, I'm not gonna say anything. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Well, I'll leave him there for now. But if any inappropriate comments, everyone, I will have to block you, unfortunately. So, I hope you're okay with that. Anyway, back to the stream. So, yeah. So this channel is about filmmaking, right, and then everything to do with film production and all different aspects of discussing film and everything in between that. So you know it's not, I mean, yeah, so it's about all aspects of film and cinema and my journey into film. And as I say, it's a great place to meet people and go from there. So I won't be on here for much. I'll be on here for another half an hour. I feel, but can't remember I can't remember what I was saying now. Oh yeah, about the immersion of when you're seeing something great. You know, like it, you know, it's a challenge. You know, like to make something that you passionately believe in. But if you really believe in it, you'll do it. You will do it. Don't think about the money or the reaction that your project, like, you know, call it a project, you know, your vision, you know, don't think about those types of things in regards to that, you know, just think about the vision itself, you know, like the experience of seeing the vision made, you know, like, and so, but yeah, I mean, earlier on my other stream, I was discussing that about how to speak with actors and what the for me what I know it will be like, and I was talking about how it should be for everyone really if it's done in the spirit of harmony. You know, like they need to be comfortable around you. Like whoever you're working with, you're gonna need to be, then they're gonna need to feel. You need to be in all fairness, right? If you get someone if you hire someone, right, audition people, and you get the wrong people in because you thought they looked the part, but they're not actually feeling it. They're not the right energy for it. You know, you don't go on appearance if you don't feel like you know if you obviously there is an art. There isn't when I say an art, but a there is a way and a way not to do an audition, right? You know, but ultimately it's about feeling the actor in front of you. Don't go on appearance as much. It's not about the cosmetic side of things. It's getting the right person for the role. If you can get that, you should not have a problem with them when it comes to filming. Because you got to remember, right? This is what I was saying on my previous live stream. If you get the wrong people in, it doesn't matter what you put on film and edit it later. You can't edit out a bad act, like an actor who's not in harmony with with the film. It doesn't matter what you do to try and edit it. Basically, like you're screwed because everything will be built on that. You know, like with the wrong actor being a part of the project. You know, you need to. So they say like 80% of filmmaking is in the casting, and from what I've heard, and I know this is true, even though I've not yet started. Well, I've started, but not perfect. Well, I'm getting there. But when I actually get involved in a bigger project, well, an actual project, you know, it is about it is true. 80%, like it's casting is important. Think about it. You've got a story. You've got a story, that you passionately believe in, and the character, the energy of these characters is, you can feel it when you read it, right? The story, right? You need to translate that into the physical. You need to get someone who's in harmony with that character's energy. You need to basically you need to find not anyone, but you need to like don't just take anyone. That's what I'm trying to say. Because people, you'd be surprised. People that are starting off in filmmaking or whatever, they'll just hire someone because they're free and because they've got the weekend off work or whatever, you know, and they'll just put them in it because just for the sake of doing it. You know, like, you know, if you want to be taken seriously, you got to like settle for what you want, not for less. If you've gone for all that effort to write a story and write a screenplay, like write a script, you know, and you're gonna be putting money into this, and you know, and like, you know, like you need to make this like as if you are already like you have to feel, you have to put yourself into the energy and take yourself seriously as if you are already a successful filmmaker. You don't do it as some sort of like, don't go into it like thinking like, because I'm not going to do this, because I'm taking myself seriously. I'm not going to go into it thinking I'm some sort of amateur. I want to feel the best that I can at the time, you know. And one of the things that I've learned is that not to settle for anything, because it will reflect in what you'll make. Even if I have to take another more time out to try and find the right person who embodies the energy of the characters, so I know that I'll work with them better. They'll work with me better. You're setting it's really important. That's what I'm trying to say. So basically, like, I think part of it is what I'm saying is that is not to be hasty and rush and make poor choices and decisions because of some external stress of some kind, some external force, or you have to ignore that and blank that shit out. You need, if you want to do something right, you got to follow your feelings and you got to be calm and you got to be patient. Because at the end of the day, what would you rather have? It done right or it done wrong? You want to, like, you know, it's all about the people that you put, who you're working with, behind the camera, in front of the camera. It's about the relationship, the harmony of the group. It's, if you've got a family type harmony, you're gonna succeed. If it feels like you're working with like a family of people, it's gonna reflect in the final thing, the prod, the created vision that you're making. I keep wanting to say the word product. I'm so sorry. I sound like some sort of businessman. I mean, it is a product in some ways, like, from a sort of higher studio point of view. Like, they see it as a business. Listen, right? You've got to balance the creative input with the financial, like the commerce side of things. I mean, you know, because I mean, if you want to make something with the intention of putting it out there for free, do it. Because like Martin Scorsese, he said, if you can get your film seen by like a local theater or some sort of town sort of theater for the public, but for the local town, like, what do you call them buildings? Like, what's them type of buildings that you have in like in your local neighborhood? Like the, it could even be like a local church or something. Like if you can get, if you can get a film played to people, like, and have the, what did Martin Scorsese said, like the communal experience, because it is, he's right, the cinematic experience is you're watching it with a bunch of strangers, you're all feeling that, something that you've all not experienced yet. It's a, and it, you can feel that in the room. It's a beautiful feeling. Like, it's a beautiful, you know, because let's face it, one of the things I want to add to this, well, actually, I don't want to, I'll just say it like this: I don't care about streaming, like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and I don't care. It's not cinema. It's not. Like, I respect people that do work with Netflix and Amazon. There's a lot of people that I do respect. You know, certain creative people, Zack Snyder, Jonathan Nolan. You know, but I don't care about streaming. I prefer the cinematic experience. It will never surpass that. You know, I don't like streaming. I think it's boring. I would rather go to an old-fashioned video rental store like Blockbuster when we used to have them, because I'm from that generation who actually experienced Blockbuster most of my life. You know, like for half of my life I experienced it, and it was great, man. It was such a beautiful feeling. The industry was different back then, and I've not lost hope in it, even though with what's going on in the world right now with the industry, like the film industry. Don't focus on all that, but Blockbuster was great. Anyone here ever go to a Blockbuster? Even if you went in there and picked up a film like a DVD off of the rack that weren't what you wanted, you took it home and watched it. Like you went in there looking for another movie, but they were all out being rented until they got returned, right? And you was like, oh no, it was a bit of a bummer. But then you went and picked up two other films off of the shelf that you've not seen, that you decided to give it a chance, and you took it home and you was like pleasantly surprised. That was like the mystery and surprise of like going to Blockbuster. It was great, man. They used to do video game rentals and things like that. I used to be able to rent out all the PS2 games, PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and it was cool, man. Blockbuster was great. You used to go in there. So when you walked in Blockbuster, just a quick tangent on Blockbuster. My Blockbuster, where I went, it was cool, man. You walked in there, and basically on your left was all the new releases. The first wall was all dedicated to like all the new releases that have just come in, like the new blockbusters, the new, and then the second shelf to that was the what was is the films that was a week before they were moved to the second wall. They were in the first wall. They've just pushed it up one, and then you got the third wall where you've got basically all the rest of the films in there, like all the old DVD rentals and video rentals and things that have been out there like for 20 years. You had all the other stuff. You had films that you could buy and purchase, but most of them were rentals. You had some that you could buy outright, take home and own. But I remember you used to go and see all that wall fresh of new movies, man. I was like, you was excited. You was excited to go and see a film. You was excited to even rent one, like going to the actual theatre to see a film, or renting through Blockbuster for home experience, home media. It was exciting. You used to go and get. I remember we used to get our. So what we used to do, we used to get like the new um, releases that just came out. We picked up like the new Denzel Washington film or whatever. We picked up the new um I don't know like new what's his name yeah, like Ridley Scott film, like director Ridley Scott. We used to, or we picked up, whoever, Steven Spielberg, and or whatever, like, or any of the other films, like, because any film that was on the or was that was on the that was on the front, then any film that had just been put out on the first on the what's the way of describing it? Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts here. Like the first wall, all the new releases on the new releases wall. Anything that was on that wall was like you wanted to rent it out. You wanted to take it home. It was just the whole psychology and the mindset of like watching films was different years ago. You weren't sitting at home. You weren't sitting at home on a box on your built into your TV like a Netflix or some Amazon, not just scrolling through endless films that you don't give a shit about, just like a mindless zombie like scrolling through the I imagine that scrolling, like me doing that, scrolling through the like falling asleep halfway through scrolling through the list, because it's boring. It's not exciting. It's no fun in it. It's just all of it feels the same. Like, you know, with Blockbuster, as I said, when you walk it, you had to physically go there. There's all the other stuff that you encountered, which I'll get into in a second. I'm only going to be brief on this. Brief. You made a conscious choice. You made better choices. The films that you wanted to watch. You know what I mean? Instead of just clicking on anything, like in our times now. What people do. you were making better choices. And you were being surprised by choices that you made, right? So, and then you'd pick up your new release. You might pick up a release that was already a month old, that you might not have seen, and then you'd pick up maybe something that was out for years that you just wanted to watch again, just for the sake of rewatching it. And then you'd move over to the popcorn. We get some salted popcorn, get some stuff to take home, pre-cooked popcorn, in a bags. We used to get some Haagen-Dazs ice cream or whatever we fancied. It usually was like a big tub of Haagen-Dazs, like Haagen-Dazs, or however you pronounce that ice cream. Um, um, and maybe we used to get a PS2 game rental while we were there, or something like that. And then we used to go up to the checkout, like where the man and the unit, where the staff member was, the employee of Blockbuster, and they were always cool in there. They were always telling you about what's coming out next, the upcoming releases. You could talk to them. There was a human being that you could interact with and talk to. Like, who are you talking to when you're on Netflix? No one. Do you see what I mean? The whole experience of how we see films and go in for films, like opt in, like how we commit to going to watch something, how we interact with. Do you understand? It's completely different. That human element is taken out of the equation now with this online streaming stuff. It's just so diluted down. Like, I'm not against it completely. I don't want it to seem like I am. I just prefer the old-fashioned way. It was exciting. You know what I mean? Um, and then you used to pull your Blockbusters card out, show it. They scanned it. They'd say, right. They'd get the discs out of their drawer. They'd put it in the case. They'd say, right, you got to return this in 4 days. Enjoy. Or 5 days. You had to pay, obviously, to rent it. You had to pay, but if you was a member, you'd get like a discount or whatever. You'd get, or whatever it was. Rent free films out for £10 or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but popcorn, ice cream, and your PS2 game rentals as well. Or you had to hire the games as well. Um, yeah, just like the whole way of, and then you used to go home and then watch that film, right? And everyone used to watch, all crowd around the television. You cared more about what you was watching. When like, what I'm saying is, and it was good quality as well. It was exciting. It was just different. Like the whole way of how you used to see. All right, it was just different. And I miss Blockbuster. If there was one company in the world right now that I'd love to see come back in all its glory again, would be Blockbuster. It's not going to happen. Like, well, never say never, but we were in the digital age where streaming is. That's what made Blockbuster die out, was because of the streaming. Um, it's a shame because that is such. The Blockbusters that are around the world. Let's just say they had 10,000 locations around the world, right? Or whatever the number was. I don't know how many it was. There's one left, and I think it's in a place called Oregon, in the America, like the USA, like the state of Oregon, or is it a state? I think it's a state. There's one block. Do you want to see what Blockbuster looked like? Does anyone here even know what I'm talking about? Talk to me, message me, put a comment below. Don't be shy. Does anyone want to see quickly what Blockbusters was? I can show you a video. If you're interested to see, say yes. Um, Me just talking about it is making me feel like sad. Like, I better stop speaking about it in some ways, but yeah, it was great. You know what I mean? Because it was a reflection of the theaters back then as well. You went to see these films in the theater, and anyway, and then months down the line, you had the option to then go and rent it from Blockbuster. No, yeah, like, how did it work again? Like, I'm just trying to remember what the atmosphere was like, because I'm trying to get out of this streaming digital age cloud that's hovering over me right now. Um, how did it work? Like, let me ask the computer. Let me ask ChatGPT what happened, because I can't remember. I actually can't remember. I don't know how long after it was when they started actually bringing the new releases in. Um, just give me a moment. I live in the UK, and I'm just trying to reminisce on how the Blockbuster video rental store used to be, and how it used to operate in the UK. So, in the late 90s, like to like the early 2000s, how did it used to work? Like, so to my knowledge, theaters used to release their films in the theaters, and then after they run their course, then shortly after that, or a few months after, then they would then send the films, like they'd be distributed to Blockbusters, so they could rent them to the public as new releases. How many months after was that? What was the time between theater release and Blockbuster rental release? And what sort of offers were there, like, in the UK, like on average, like what was it like, to free DVDs for £10 or something, like, what sort of, what was the sort of atmosphere of Blockbuster? What how did it used to function? How did it operate? What used to happen? How long could you rent the DVDs for? Was it, I think it was one night, and 3 nights, or 7 nights, or something like that? Give me some information just to tell my viewers on my YouTube channel. 1 second, people. 1 second. I just fed all that information into this glorious computer. That's a great bit of nostalgia, it says, and you're broadly remembering it correctly, right? I'll break this down in a way that's easy to tell your viewers, right? Cinema blockbusters, the release window from the late 90s to early 2000s. That's when I was growing up, right? So I'm just gonna. So in the UK during the late 1990s into the early 2000s, the typical release timeline looked like this. So you had cinema to VHS slash DVD rental, right? So basically, cinema release, and then so a film was released in the theater, and then 4 to 6 months later, we used to get the VHS rental release, like the videotapes, right? Which I actually have a videotape here somewhere. I have some videos in my room somewhere. Does anyone remember the old videotapes? Because I think I've got one here. Or I did have one. I can't find where it is, but whatever. Right, anyway. So you had the theatrical release of a film, right? And then 4 to 6 months later, you had the VHS rental release, right, in Blockbusters. And then when DVDs started coming in the 1999 onwards, that's when DVDs first hit the market, if I'm right in remembering. Because I remember The Matrix, The Mummy, like, I remember all these films being brought out on DVD, and DVD was a huge game changer. I like DVD, and I still do. I like DVD and Blu-ray. I like them too. I like watching certain films on DVD because that's when it came out on that format. Like, I'd rather watch The Matrix on DVD than watching it on Blu-ray or 4K, because it brings back the feeling and the look of how it was when it was on. Do you know what I mean? Like, even The Mummy, like, I'd watch that on videotape or DVD. Most likely it'll be DVD. I'll watch all these on DVD. Um, a lot of great films came out in the late 90s, and you know, but modern films, like, I don't know, like Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I love, that came out on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K and all this other stuff, but I wouldn't buy it on DVD. I'll buy it on Blu-ray. But in some ways, I probably should have bought it on 4K because of the time when it came out. It came out when 4K was out on the scene, and you know, but no, I love Blu-ray. I love Blu-ray as a format. I do. But as I said, I'll watch certain films on DVD because that's when it came out. I don't want to see it remastered and to made to look more crisp on a. I like seeing films when they, do you know what I mean? So like any film that came out like in the late 90s or mid 90s onwards, I'll watch on DVD into like the first half of the 2000s up to 2009-ish, 2008, 9-ish. Then I think that's when Blu-ray was like it's started to be introduced or whatever. If I might have got that wrong actually, but I'm just saying what I like to watch. So I'll watch a film that was made around 2009, 10 onwards on Blu-ray. I've never bought 4K. I've not got a 4K player. I've not got any 4K discs, but I'm just anyway. I'm waffling on here, but anyway, let me get back to reading what this said. Right, so you had the theatrical releases of films in cinemas and theaters. And then 4 to 6 months later, you had the VHS rental releases in Blockbuster. And then DVDs came in from 1999 onwards, which were then brought into Blockbusters as well. So you didn't just have videotapes in Blockbusters, you had DVDs as well coexisting at the same time in Blockbuster. So you could go into a Blockbuster and pull 3 new DVD releases off the shelf and to rent, and then you could also pick up a VHS videotape to rent as well, because it's still there's still films, there's still um yeah. And then so if a film came out in cinemas say in July, then you'd usually see it as a new release in Blockbusters around November, January time, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, that was it. Yeah, 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 yeah. It was color coded. It was color coded, so when films arrived at the Blockbuster, inside the Blockbuster store, they were marketed hard. Like it says, they had colors. That's it. They had blue and yellow. They had a big blue and yellow new release wall, which is what I was saying earlier about when you walked in, you'd see the first new, basically all the new releases would be on the first shelf, which dominated. It was a huge, ginormous shelf. It was huge, right? And then that was all the new stuff, and then behind you was all the stuff that they've just moved from there from A to B. But then you had a C category as well, which was like all the old videotapes and old films. Or old, well, I say old, but like ones that are like aged. They're just older. Um. So the pricing approximate UK numbers were like, so a new release rental for a videotape was £3.50 to £4.50. I don't know what that was per night. Per I think it used to go per night. DVDs were £4 to £5.50. Yeah, yeah, that's starting to bring back memories now. Older catalog titles were cheaper. Yeah, like I said, you could rent something for £1, like $1. The equivalent of like $1. You could rent that for like depending on how old the film was. New releases were deliberately expensive. Yeah, rental periods, right? So the typical rental lengths were for a new release, you'd usually rent it for 1 or 2 nights. Yeah, that was it, 1 or 2 nights. Older titles were 3 nights or sometimes 5 or 7 nights. Yeah, the new ones you had the maximum was 2 nights, and then yeah, and then you had to take it back and either pay again to rent it again or hand it back. You had to hand it back, otherwise you'd get billed because you've got a membership card. You'd get billed. You'd get it would be put on your account if you don't return it. And there used to be like, so if you ever had to return it outside of Blockbuster hours when they were closed, there used to be like a little cat flap. Like what was it, like a fucking sorry for my language, but it's bringing back memories. It used to be like a little like a letterbox, an envelope box, like a cat flap type thing where you put it in and walk away, so you don't go over the rental time. So you've handed it back into the store, just not to the staff member because it's closed. But they had this 24-hour flap, like a big uh, mailbox built into the wall, from the outside, you know. Late fees, right? So if you was late, you were charged an overdue thing, like £1 or £2 per day, or depending on whatever. Um, Deals and offers. Oh yeah, common offers in the UK were free for £10, or rent two and get one free or something. Yeah, I remember these. I remember the 3 for £10 offer, free new releases or whatever. I think it was new releases, yeah, and you pay £10. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Even though I wasn't in charge, I didn't have any money. I was a kid. I used to go in there with my parents. They used to take me. It was fun just to go to a video rental store. There was just this weird energy about it. It was just this beautiful. It was lovely, man. It was great. I miss Blockbuster. I'm going to show you a video shortly about. There's one Blockbuster still left in the world open that's active where people still rent from it. It's in the USA. So it is actually still open. It's just there's just one store left. I'll show you it in a minute. I'll show you what it was. I'll show you what I'm talking about. 'Cause for people that the generation who didn't experience this, you might not. It's great. It was great, man. I feel like an old man talking about this, but it was just a great way of it. It was just great. Um, Membership and store operation. So a membership, you had to sign up with a name and address, some ID, and yeah, your account is tracked, rental history, late returns, and fines. What's that mean? Store layout and atmosphere, right? A typical Blockbuster had bright blue and yellow colors everywhere. The branding, bright like marketing, like the signs in the store, that blue and yellow signs because that's what the color of the logo was. It was yellow and blue. Sorry. They had a strong plastic and carpet smell when you walked in. Plastic off of the DVD cases. You could smell the plastic sort of smell when you walked in. You could smell the carpet. It's like when you used to walk into the theaters and you could smell that carpet smell. You know what I'm talking about? Like that. The smell of a theater when you walk in. A theater. Loud promotional posters that you saw, big, huge posters like, um, well, I haven't got, well, this is like a few interstellar stuff here that I've got in a poster frame. So you'd have huge posters like that up on the wall, up advertised. You know what I mean? Um, Sorry, I turned my headset off there. Yeah. Yeah, you had huge posters like that up on you know, promoting the new films. And everyone used to rush to go and get the new release. Like everyone used to like the new Denzel Washington film, for example. Like you had to go there early to get it. Basically, you had to make sure to get a copy, otherwise you're gonna be waiting until someone hands one back. Um, it was tied to the theater experience. So you had the theater experience, which was all how it was, and then 4 months later you had the blockbuster, the DVD rental side of things. It was coinciding. It went hand in hand with how the cinema with how it used to be, right? And I wish it would still be like that. Trailers playing on TVs near the counter. Yeah, so near the counter where you'd pay up when you'd pay with your popcorn and your ice cream, or even your PS2 game rentals. You could rent PlayStation 2 games, Dreamcast games, Xbox, whatever. They had all that there as well, but that's another story. We used to rent them. I remember we used to rent out Prince of Persia and football games or whatever. We used to rent these games out. Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, whatever. We used to rent these games, but mainly we went in there for films. Yeah. So the sections included the new releases wall, which is what I said when you first go in. And then you used to have aisles, different aisles that were genre based. So you had to have an action aisle with loads of films on it stacked up on the shelf. You'd have another aisle which was for comedy. You'd have another aisle which is for horror, another one for thrillers, and then dramas, and so on and so on. You'd have a kids section, a kiddie section. And then you'd have a game section, right? PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Xbox, yeah. Snacks and drinks at the counter. But you had freezers for the ice cream and that. Um, I don't know. It just went with the way. It was just great, man. I don't know how to explain. It was just how society used to be. It was just how we used to physically go there, and even getting in the car, knowing that you're going to the Blockbuster was like just as exciting as going to the theater. Right, not the same, but like almost the same. It had the same sort of energy signature to it. You knew you weren't going to the cinema, but you were going to a Blockbuster to see a to rent out a film for a couple of nights of a film that you didn't go to see in the theater. So you were seeing it because that was the only way you could see it other than the theater, which was in Blockbusters. 3 months after the theatrical, or 3 to 4 months after it played in the theater, and then when it went no longer playing in the theater, or it might have still been playing in the theater. I think there were some cases where it was still playing in the theater, and because it's so successful, the film, like I don't know, like Jurassic Park, like the first Jurassic Park movie, they used to have films in cinemas longer. Now they only leave them in there for like a month or two. Back then, if a film was successful and it was earning loads of money, they kept that film in the theater even up to a year. They'd keep films in uh like the Star Wars or the Jurassic Park or The Exorcist, like the films that had legs. Like when I say had legs, that they had big legs, they had long legs, they had strong legs. They stood their ground. They stood the test of time. Basically that means that they had such strong legs. They kept it in the theater for months without. And then eventually when it really died off, then they just took it out of the theater. But so what I'm saying is that there were times when films were still in the theater, and then at the same time they simultaneously released it in Blockbuster for home viewing. Anyway, I'm almost done with this. Yeah, it was very much let's walk around and see what jumps out at you. Yeah, that was the sort of language. Yeah, no algorithms, just cover art, like artwork on the covers, and word of mouth. Yeah, and word of mouth. Um, the social aspect of Blockbusters was a Friday night ritual. Yeah, people on a Friday night. I didn't experience this like how adults would because I was a child, but I remember what adults used to do. So on a Friday night, at the end of a working week in the UK, I'm hoping this was the same for like around the world, right? But Friday, it's the end of the week. People have got the weekend off work. They want to go out and celebrate, or they want to go out and rent a movie. They'd all go to Blockbuster like at a crowd of people, right? And go into Blockbusters and just have a chat and just socialize, like, as if they've walked into a pub. I know it sounds really weird. It sounds like that it's not true, but it is. I remember that's all starting to bring back memories. Memories. I remember when I was in there with my mum and my dad, and we used to go pick up a movie like to rent. there used to be like groups of men in there, or groups of women, or whatever, like a family of 10 used to walk in there. It was just crazy. That's what it was. It was social. Then you'd speak to other people like, "Oh, you gonna rent this movie out as well?" They'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." "Oh, yeah, yeah, ha ha." You'd all start laughing. And you don't get that now because of streaming. Streaming has destroyed. It's cut out the human element. That's what I'm trying to say. It's cut out so much stuff, right? And then you'd all make your way over to the counter and check out, and then you start having a joke with the Blockbuster employee and the manager, where it was just a great time, and then you'd pay up and you'd say thanks. Let's say enjoy the film. You've got 48 hours to return it. I'd say thank you very much. I'd say enjoy it. Thank you. And then you'd get into your car with all your popcorn, your ice cream. You'd go home, and it was just different. It was just us. It was exciting. You know what I mean? It was just exciting. Yeah, it was a family outing. Yeah, I told you. I told you. It was a Friday night ritual, a family outing, and a decision-making event. Yeah. What are we watching tonight? Yeah. It was just something about it. It was just like basically, that energy that you get when people go to the theater to see a film. You meet up in the lobby. You buy your nachos, your popcorn. Like when you're all waiting before the film starts and you bought your ticket. That sort of energy of how everyone's talking in a group. It was like that in a Blockbuster. I swear, it was. It was like that. It was awesome, man. And then number nine is why it eventually faded. Because of online rentals and then streaming. Yeah. I think I've discussed it all now. I don't need to talk about it, but yeah, that's brought back things that I forgot about. The Friday night ritual thing, what people used to do, and the family outing. Yeah, it was. It was a great thing, man. It was. I wish we could. I hope there's some footage we can find of people on YouTube of back in the early 2000s or the late 90s of them in a Blockbuster talking. If I find any footage, I'll show you it. Because you ain't gonna believe me until I show you it. Because if anyone here hasn't experienced what I'm saying, you won't know what I'm saying. But if I find any footage of what I'm explaining, I'll show you it, and then you'll understand. It was just a perfect way to. It was a social thing, you know what I mean? It was exciting. It was this. It was that. And oh man, I can still. It's making me feel sad. I don't want to talk about it. But it does still exist in other forms. It does. It has lived on through cinema of what we've still got and theatre. And yeah, but let me type in Blockbuster inside. I'll look in the. Yeah, look. Have a look at this. So I've typed in Blockbuster store. Right? I put Blockbuster inside. So like in a Blockbuster store. See, look. There's a video here. Look, in renting a Blockbuster in 1993. But that's not really what I want. Oh, here we go. What's this? Let's have a listen to this. It's a great show, that, by the way. Fallout. You're inside the last Blockbuster in the world. This is it. This is our final stand. Sandy Harding proudly remains at the helm. Oh yeah, I remember that. You used to have all your sweet section as well, like all your candy section. We used to get all your M&Ms, and it was great, man. But this is a video of the last Blockbuster rental store in America, and it's still active. It's the last one in the world. The last Blockbuster, located in Bend, Oregon. I always laugh because people come in and say, "Oh my gosh, it still looks like a Blockbuster," and I'm like, "Well, of course it does. We are Blockbuster." When Blockbuster first opened in 1989, one store opened every 17 hours and grew to 9,000 stores as part of a video revolution. The current smash hit Captain Marvel, in a nod to 90s nostalgia, features its hero crashing through the roof of a Blockbuster store. Now tourists are flocking to this last remaining relic. We couldn't come to Bend and not go to the last Blockbuster on Earth. This couple is actually signing up for a new membership. Bring back a lot of memories, and I grew up going to Blockbuster. Longtime customers say nothing beats walking into the See what I mean? So what you'd walk in, and if the film that's just been released, it would be on a huge wall like this, a huge wall, and then to the side would be, so that's all the new releases, and the new releases that 3 weeks later they'd be moved onto this wall back here, and then all these aisles in between, these are like just older films basically that are like older than all the rest of them, you know. So you know, I said Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Look, there's a Haagen-Dazs like freezer, look, with all the ice creams, and this is in America. This is not even in the UK. This is what I'm saying, but it was like that in the UK. That's what I'm trying to say, you know. So you could, yeah. I hope not. But basically, people used to congregate in these inside. So basically, groups of people. When I used to go, it was full up of people. So like you see here, like where these people are. I mean, the whole aisle would be full of people. It would be full. I'm just trying to find a video which sort of shows you what I'm talking about. Uh, Blockbuster, Blockbuster UK. I wonder if there's a movie night in the 2000s. What's this? New releases, yeah. The Blockbuster where I used to go was cool, man. It had a really good size to it. It was a good layout, you know. Uh, One second, people. Oh man, that's bringing back memories, man. It really is. It's making me feel a bit emotional. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking right now. Come with us to the last Blockbuster on the planet. This place was packed with nostalgia. When you step inside, you get a whiff of that classic Blockbuster smell, and it immediately transports you back to a simpler time. Inside, you'll find displays, memorabilia, and they even have their own Blockbuster merch. And while they mostly rent DVDs now, there is an ode to the golden days with this wall of VHS tapes. You can even buy some for $2 per VHS. It's a retro. See? It was an experience. Did you hear what she just said? She said every Friday night, her family would order Papa John's, like pizza, and then they'd head down here and go and watch a new film, a new release that's just come out. And of course, they have plenty of popcorn, snacks, and candy to choose from. Candy, yep, sweets, you know. Very serious. I'm getting rainbow to do it. This was even more fun than I expected. So if you're ever in, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I mean, it feels sad me talking about it, but you know, sometimes things have got to be said. You know. Oh, there's me. Look. Huh. There's me. Anyway, you get the idea of what I'm saying. I suppose the majority of this live stream has been me talking about Blockbuster, but it was awesome, man. It was just like it was great. It was cool, honestly. Why was I talking about Blockbuster all this time? What was it that prompted me to? I can't remember what my initial train of thought was to even talk about that. But well, here we go. There's some good footage here of a Blockbuster. I cannot remember what it was, but anyway. Why did I mention Blockbuster? There was a purpose to it, but anyway, it's just that's a little history lesson there for people, you know. Um, I suppose last thoughts on that. Going to Blockbuster to see a new film, a new release that you didn't see in the theater. It was like the same as going to see it in the theater, but not. It was for home rental. It's that same sort of excitement, but it was just for people that wanted to rent it for home media, you know, for home media experience. It was. I know that sounds like something that sounds odd to you now because we live in the age of streaming and all that stuff, like I said. But it was just yeah, it was just because you didn't have streaming. That's my point. You didn't have any of this that stuff. This was the place where you went to get a film to see it. Think of it like that. You know what I mean? Think of it like that. You know, because it might be hard for people to think of it in this way because you're so used to like just clicking a button and seeing something. You know, basically the whole industry, like the whole way films, the cinema industry, the rental industry, which tied into that. You know, it was just different. It was just a completely different world. It was great. It was exciting. I think that's why now I mentioned all this stuff about Blockbuster, and that was because I was talking about how cinema used to be exciting. Um, you know, and I was talking about great actors and that, you know, and yeah, man, it was just different. But the love of the power of cinema, it lives on, and it just sometimes changes its appearance or its form, but hopefully not too much, you know. But in my opinion, like seeing a film properly with an audience is the way. And oh yeah, that's why I think I mentioned it. I've just remembered why I mentioned all this Blockbuster stuff was because I was saying that if you want to show a film to someone and make a film and do it with heart, you know, people will feel that, and that's why I went on to say that it's the communal experience. You can show it to a room full of people, like 100 people, and they start talking about it word of mouth. You know, do you see what I mean? It's like if you believe in what you've made, you shouldn't have any fear of showing it to an audience or 50 people or 100 people or 1,000 people. Depends on the venue. You know, like these local that's why I mentioned all this Blockbuster stuff because of the communal experience. That's why, because and it led me on to saying, you know, because even going to a Blockbuster was a communal thing. You know, you'd meet other people in there. You know, it was just like you made friends. You know, it was just a great thing, man. It was cool. But yeah, like showing a film to the world, like showing it to the public, showing it to your local community, or you know, if you can show it to people for free, well, I won't say for free, but you know, almost free or for free, you want them to see it. You want people to see what you're capable of making. You just so venues like local theatre, like neighborhood theatre buildings. You know, these little venue places. You know, churches or you know I don't know. I mean, like, I think the worst thing to do is to make a film, right, and put like, and then upload it onto YouTube or whatever. I would never do that. That's not what this channel's for. I'm not doing that on here. If I make something, I want the world to see it, and I want the people to see it. Like, I want to take it to them. You know, so you can get it played somewhere at a local, even at an independent cinema theater or film convention, but there are like other options that you could consider. But um, the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm quoting what Martin Scorsese said. Martin Scorsese, the filmmaker, said, "You don't need to take your film straight to like a huge venue, like somewhere which you won't probably get into anyway, unless you're an established filmmaker, like an Odeon or an IMAX or you know." He meant even taking it to 1,000 people, like at your local community hall, like your local community sort of theater hall or whatever you call these places, like these meet what are them types of places called? Like these local things. I don't know what the name of it is. Like they've got multi-functional purposes. These function halls. These you have them in like your local towns. Do you know what I mean? They've got like a huge room. They use it for different things, like exhibitions or parties or I don't know, whatever. You can take it there, and if they've got a screen or you can have it projected. The point is that if anyone is interested in making films or getting into the filming world, and they make something, even if it's a short film and it's like one of their first things they've made, and you want people to see it, take it to like these places that I've suggested. Don't bother uploading it onto YouTube. I know people might say, "Well, what do you mean? Just YouTube is the." I wouldn't do that. I think that's a mistake because people might rip you off, and to copy your work. And I think you should take it to the people in whatever way, in whatever way that is. Um, because like Martin Scorsese said it, when you can make a film now on a camera the size of the door handle, like he pointed to the door, like where he was being interviewed. When you can make a camera now the size of that doorknob, this big, because that's how small they're becoming, and you could show that film to like 1,000 people at your local venue, whatever that hall is, or this. And he went, it's all about getting the communal experience, which I totally agree with him. You want them all to feel what you've made. You know what I mean? We'll take it to these places, and then word of mouth will talk about. They'll talk about you. They'll go all over their neighborhood, and then you take it to another neighborhood or another venue within your neighborhood. Show it there. Go travel with it. Get on a train and travel to your next city, and obviously make the plans in advance. Make the arrangements. Play it there somewhere else. For free. Let people see it. Let people see what you're capable of doing. I've not fully figured it out. But there's some ideas that one could do. You want people to see what you've made. That's the point. And don't charge them. Show it to them for free. Like let people see. Let people discover who you are. Money and charging people and all that stuff. You can do that on your next project. Your first thing, you want to like give something to the public. You know what I mean? You want to let them see it. So, like, if you just put it on YouTube, I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm never going to do that. But you know what I mean by these local sort of venue places, these halls where you can go. Um, how it works when you get an appointment or when you get like a time to do that, or you just got to contact. You got a phone and you got to ask them that. And I don't know. Like I don't know. Like you just got to ask. Just got to ask around and see if you can get a massive audience full of people to watch something that you've made. That is good. There's so many options really to choose from. There's no point really talking about it, because there's a lot, you know. Um, get the communal, like, I don't want to say backing, but support, start showing it to in your community. And then take it to the community outside of your town, to these other communities. Travel around the country with it if need be. If you've made a film with a group of people and you've made something that you care about and you want to be taken seriously as a filmmaker, well then travel with that what you've made and show it to people. Like I don't know. There's different ways of how you can get that done. Different buildings, different venues, different agreements with whoever. But it is all about the communal experience. He's right, Martin Scorsese, because a theatre is not going to take it straight away. Not to an unknown independent filmmaker. They're not going to do it unless there's some exceptions like the Prince Charles Cinema in London, in Leicester Square, where they give upcoming filmmakers a chance. But most of the time, right, the most unconventional way ends up helping you out the most. Whatever feels right for you to take your project or your creation, your film somewhere where you can get people to see it. So you want them to start seeing what you're capable of doing, so they start to know what you're like the work that you make. Take it to wherever, man. I don't know where that is for you, but just take them. Like even I don't know the answers to this, but I know what I am saying, but I don't know the exact specifics, But I got a strong feeling of it. You need to take it to a communal environment, whatever that is. Do not put it on YouTube. People, if you want to become some sort of social media influencer and be seen like that, well then fine. But if you want to do it on YouTube, put something on. You do what if you want to do whatever you think's better. Do what you want. I mean, I'm just not for the idea of putting like a, 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 something I make like a professional film, all of it on YouTube. I just don't, I think maximum I'd put like a trailer of it, and then I'd say if you want to see this, go to this venue in London on the 25th of February at 7 o'clock, and you know what I mean. I'm not. I, I know what that sounds like, but basically, you want to get the communal experience, right? In people talking in person. So you're not going to get that if you put something on YouTube. That's my point. Because cinema, if you want to be taken seriously as a filmmaker in your life going forward, you need to get people uh, excited about what you're doing in a communal way. So that means that you got to take it to the people in the physical world. You got to physically go out there and show it to them. However you do that, people don't think that that's old and it's old-fashioned, it's outdated because everyone's online. Yeah, everyone is online, most people, but serious filmmakers that really want to get into this, they're they're taking it to the people. They're taking it to the people, and that's exactly what I would do. Listen, everyone, I think I've outrun my time on this live stream tonight. I'm grateful for the two people that have been watching me in this live stream for however long you've been doing it for. I'm really grateful. You're really kind. Again, but this will be online here for people to watch this after it's been uploaded. I hope you've enjoyed my information and stories about um, communicating to actors and actresses, following your feelings. I'm just recapping the bullet points of what I've said on the two live streams I've done today. Making the actor feel comfortable with you, you connect, you cast the right people, you be patient with yourself if need be. If you've not found the right people yet, you don't settle for less, you settle for the right energy. You become like a family, you work together, you break down any emotional resistance with the actors so they don't think to play a character, they're just feeling the energy of the character, so they're being it. They're not trying to think like the character. They're being the character. And hopefully you should be running your camera while they're doing that. You're recording. Then I spoke about Blockbuster, showing you what it was like in my childhood growing up, how the social gathering and social sort of experience and the excitement of how it was to go and rent what you call streaming now, but renting physical media from fresh from the suppliers, like from the studios, like from the you know, when I say studios, but yeah, studio new releases on media for the first time to be watched in your own home. Um, that was the avenue of where you would do it. It would go to Blockbuster. There was independent video rental stores. I had one down the street from me. It was opposite the train station. They were open for years. We went in there sometimes, but sometimes we went to Blockbuster. No, no, no. We always went to Blockbuster, sorry. And sometimes we went to the one up the street. Um, but Blockbusters was 99% of the time we went there. Um, so I spoke about that. And then finally, I'm finalizing my talk with where I would go to be taken seriously as a filmmaker. I would give it to the public, right? And I'd take it to them. My creation, and I want the communal experience to happen. I don't think you're going to be taken seriously as a filmmaker if you just put everything online. You need to get people talking about what you're doing. Like, I know you could say, yeah, well, they could talk online, but no, you need to get the people engaging in something that they're physically seeing as a communal experience where they feel the effect affected. Like they need to feel the immersion, which is what I was saying as well earlier on. Um, because that gets people talking. You don't know who they talk to. They may have connections to people in the industry. People will hear about what you've done. You've shown this to the public. Not like you're trying to lick butt here. I'm just saying that you're not a butt lick. I'm just saying that if you want to be taken as a filmmaker, you need to get the communal experience in place. And the only way to do that is to give it to them, is to show it to the public at in different situations, in different ways, at different venues, where and when you can, with permission, and you go out your way and you will get that organized and you'll set that up and play it for a room of 500 people, 1,000 people. It depends on the venue. If you can get your work seen on a communal, on as big as you can scale, the bigger the better. Take it to the people, and then once you've done that neighborhood, you move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the other one. You need to get the public seeing who you are, who is this person, what have they made, and the excitement and the anticipation of where you're going or where you can go. It will turn heads within the industry. It leads to studio intervention, like where they might want to hire you to make a film. But you see what I mean? Where you're actually getting into like the more serious, like the um the industry, like the professional league. The you get offered into the industry with what's that word, like where you're brought into the, like, basically where you get offered an offer into the industry, um like for a true studio production, for a studio production where you're hired, like whatever the level is, whether you're somewhere in the lower levels, or whether you, like, as in what your job would be, or whether they're giving you a part right at the top, like a role. The job is of you to be a director of a project that they want you, and an official studio production. So sorry, I couldn't think of the word. I'm half asleep. I've been on here all day. YouTube. I'm going to go now, but um, I think, you know, social media is not the way. I think it's a good way to get contacts and make connections, and but then work with them in the physical. You meet on here, and then you go out into the physical and you do physical stuff. You don't just sit at home and put everything online. You need to go out there and turn heads, because like, at the end of the day, right, studios, if you want to like be in filmmaking seriously, right, and be a professional filmmaker and be taken seriously, at the end of the day, right, you got to take into the reality of, and this is the last thing I am going to say because I am going in about very soon. Studios, like, they're not doing it for free. They're a business. They're there to make money at the end of the day. They are there to make money. They're there to to get people to go and see a movie, film. So how does that work? By people physically going to these places. So if you can get people physically invested in you, in the world physically, the communal experience, and you're successful at that, and people come to see your work, and word of mouth spreads around, that is the best thing that will ever happen to you. Because then you'll go on to do the next project and the next one, and finally, somewhere along the line, people will see what you've been able to do in the physical, and the studios who want people to physically go and see their films and pay for it, if they like what you're capable of doing, and they like your style, they like you, they're going to offer you a job. I'm just saying, they're going to offer you a job. So I think it's the opposite. I think everyone think it's not social media or anything where you get recognized and you get. No, I think you can't be. The way it was intended for was the communal experience, to go out into the world and physically go out there and show a group of people a film, a movie. Don't think that these old ways have died off and it's been replaced by the new age of social media now, because it's not. It's not. I think people deep down still want to go out and physically socialize. We're physical beings. We're social creatures. You know what I mean? We interact. So if you can get people's asses into that, I was gonna swear then, into those seats to see something you've made, and your word of mouth spreads, before you know it, you're going to be getting phone calls from certain people that want to work with you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. I'm just telling you. I mean, does anything what I've said here sound irrational? See it from that. See it from a studio, or from an investor's point of view who wants to invest in you, a private investor, for you to make your own private independent film, or a studio investment where you get brought into an actual studio production. They want to see that you've got the ability to get people physically like socializing about what you've done and interacting and getting involved in what you've done. That's what they're looking for. They couldn't care less how many YouTube subscribers you've got, or Instagram followers, or TikTok views. That doesn't mean nothing to a studio. I mean, I know some people think it does, but to me, in the true sense of filmmaking, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't at all. You need to get people physically into the theaters. They rely on people that can successfully aid that happening, to aid in that, to help that to happen. They need people like who believe in cinema, and the theatre experience, which I do. So anyway, I hope that's some wise words there for you all. I'm gonna go now. For the two people, or the person who's still watching me, or for the two people that were watching me for the certain period of time, thank you very much. And it's very kind. My heart, honestly, I feel like emotional. Like, thanks for watching this. Um, brought back some memories as well, and talking about this. Cinema used to be exciting. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Does that excitement still live on? Does it still exist? Yeah, but it's just there's a lot of like not exciting stuff that's floating around there, which seems to, you know, you can notice it really. That's all I'm saying. But it still exists, cinema, film, and the spirit of cinema and what it is. So anyway, I'm gonna go now. Thanks for watching this, everyone. I'm glad that if you like this video, subscribe, like, and stay tuned for the next live stream or video that I upload. Bye. Bye bye. Thank you.